David Hertel with you in for Elias. Well, Quebec ranked first for inflation last month across the country. Now, you look at gas, you look at food, housing, everything is rising. The economy yet is very robust, but the inflation numbers are definitely not heading in the right direction. Volatility in the markets. And we have, as we speak, Premier Legault announcing a $640 million investment in Concordia for a new electric vehicle battery plant. So definitely more money into the economy. Things are looking up in one part of the entire story, but still, it's tough for families to make ends meet, school supplies, everything that's going on. So trying to make sense of all this is hard. That's why we always love to call on Moshe Lander, Senior Lecturer in Economics at Concordia University. Welcome back, Moshe.
Hello.
Hello. So tell me, what do we make sense of all this? Why is inflation still stubbornly high in Quebec?
Well, Quebec is experiencing below average unemployment. It's, in fact, one of the lowest unemployment rates in Canada. And so when you have tightness in the labor market, this is going to allow wages to be pushed up faster than places that have higher unemployment. And so when wages get pushed up, inevitably that spills over into higher output prices, and that's going to lead then to higher inflation in Quebec than in other parts of Canada.
So when François Legault is asked about this, he says, well, see, it means that Quebec's economy is doing great. And it means that our economic policies are working. So is that true? Is he right? And when you have other people saying, well, yeah, there's a pressure on wages, but is it true that we need more immigration? Are we heading in the right direction by allowing this very low unemployment?
No, I don't think that he should be too proud of what's going on right now. This is actually a bad indication of how they're managing the economy. This government is actively discouraging immigration. And so while it continues to happen, right, there's, I think, 150,000 people that move to Quebec, which is good. But the fact is that it should be 250,000 or 500,000 people that are moving to Quebec. And so when he's creating policies that try and divert people to other provinces in Canada, then that's what's leading to the labor market tightness. It's that there are not enough workers around to fill jobs. And unfortunately, that does bring unemployment with it as well. But no, this is an indication of keeping people away. The other thing, of course, too, is that this government has on two occasions handed cash out to voters, one before an election and one essentially was a campaign promise vote buying exercise where if you vote for me, I'll give you more money. Right. But it wasn't for anything productive. And so when you hand cash to people, that is also inflationary. So there's two direct policies that this government has done that is contributing to the problem and not something they should be taking credit for.
So how do we respond to this, and what should a provincial government? I know inflation, we always say, well, monetary policy is the federal government, it's the Bank of Canada. So the big levers are not in the province's purview, but at the same time, you have Premier Legault yesterday say, well, you know, with the housing, we might be thinking about direct aid again, maybe more checks. He alluded to that yesterday. So you just said that sending checks isn't the solution. What can a province do? What should the Legault government be doing here? Because, as you say, these policies are not helping.
Sure. Well, it was pretty clear that when the Bank of Canada decided that they're going to start moving aggressively on interest rates, the economy was going to slow down at some point, right? Whether we go into a recession or just a soft landing, whatever. The point is that the economy was going to slow down. So even if he wanted to engage in this exercise of just handing cash to people, remember who loves you, baby, what he could have said was, we're going to do it. We've made that promise, but we're just not going to do it right now. Slower times are coming, and when those slow times hit, that's when we'll come in with the support that you need. So in a sense, he could have still fulfilled his campaign promise, whether it was a good one or not, but he just didn't have to time it at a point where there were already signs of this buildup of inflation. I know that he said this is to help with inflation, but most economists at the time were saying that's not going to help with inflation. When you want to put people, or when you want to put money in people's pockets, that's during an economic slowdown to help them get through that part of the rough time. The Bank of Canada would have taken care of inflation on their own. And of course, the other thing he can be doing is saying we're going to revisit our policy on immigration. If he's looking to try and provide support to people, counterintuitive as it is, the best thing he should be doing is saying, let the Bank of Canada do what it needs to, and let's not add fuel to the fire and maybe force another higher interest rate on the rest of Canada because of our policies.
I want to end on this, Moshe. Right now, there is this growing position on the right saying that more immigration puts pressure on housing, and that's why housing is going up. Can you dispel that?
So in the short run, that's probably true, but that's more an indication that it's a lack of foresight and preparation on the part of local city councils than it is a problem that immigration is a bad thing and needs to be stopped. It's been clear for decades that people want to come to Canada, and despite the best efforts of the federal government or provincial governments to try and curb it, it's still something that's extremely desirable for people. And so immigration is a net contributor to the economy. Immigrants pay more in taxes than they draw in public services. They help maintain a broad tax base. They bring diversity. I could have an entire conversation with you about why immigration is a thing. The problem is that municipalities fail to realize that there's going to be people coming to this country, and they're going to need housing, they're going to need schooling, they're going to need access to the public services like healthcare. And so where decades ago they could have started laying in place the infrastructure to accommodate this, it seems that they're reactionary rather than proactive. And so that's why we're getting pinched right now. But over time, the housing market will catch up, schools will catch up. The problem is what damage is done while they're trying to catch up.
Very insightful, as always. Thank you so much for your time.
Anytime.
Moshe Lander is Senior Lecturer in Economics at Concordia University.